In a world that never stops speaking, where every corner buzzes, pings, flashes, where homes have become more like machines, and silence feels like a luxury we forgot how to afford. What if your home finally learned to listen, not just to your voice, but to your rhythm, to your needs before you name them, to your stillness before the noise returns? Did you know that 70% of homeowners feel their space doesn't reflect their style? Don't be part of that statistic. Subscribe and start designing a home that truly feels yours. What if the future of living wasn't louder, wasn't more demanding, more crowded, more connected in all the wrong ways, but quieter, smarter, softer? A kind of home that doesn't just react, but understands. Not just a smart home, but a thoughtful one. This isn't science fiction. This isn't an app. This isn't luxury for the sake of show. This is a home designed not to impress you, but to know you. It doesn't shout for your attention. It simply waits, adjusts, adapts. You won't hear it working. You'll just feel better, lighter, heard. Because somewhere out in the fields, beyond the static of the world, there's a barn-shaped space wrapped in steel and warmth, crafted with restraint and intention. A place where AI doesn't compete with nature. It blends with it. Where design doesn't overwhelm. It disappears. This isn't just a house. This is a story. A beautiful home is not a dream. It's an art, and you're the artist. Subscribe and start creating spaces that speak to the soul, of intelligence, of stillness, of space, reclaiming its soul. And once you step inside, you'll wonder why it ever had to be anything else. Once, barndominiums were just rustic dreams wrapped in practicality. Steel frames, wooden soles, big spaces built for simple lives. They stood strong against time and weather. They echoed with the sound of work and rest. They were honest, functional, but still silent in the ways that mattered. Then, the world began to shift. Noise grew sharper. Time moved faster, and homes became crowded with clutter, with complexity, with distraction. We asked them to do more, and they did. More lights, more wires, more things. But more never really meant better. It just meant louder. So something had to change, and it did. From that noise, from that overwhelm, a new kind of home was born. Transform your home, transform your life. Subscribe now. And let's create spaces you'll love forever. Not louder, not smarter for the sake of cleverness, but simpler, gentler, wiser. A home that thinks for you without needing to show off. A home that watches, waits, responds with quiet grace. Here, the light moves with the day. The air breathes with you. The walls don't just hold you in, they hold you steady. This space doesn't beg for furniture or noise or more. It invites you to bring only what matters and leave the rest behind. It's minimalism, yes, but not cold, not empty. It's warmth, made intentional. It's design that feels like an exhale, a soft floor beneath bare feet, a window that knows when to open, a room that understands your silence. This isn't the past, pretending to be modern, and it isn't the future, out of reach. It's right here, right now. Waiting. This isn't about tech for tech's sake. It's not about gadgets or buttons or blinking lights. It's about presence, a kind of quiet intelligence that doesn't ask to be noticed, but always knows when to show up. This home doesn't demand your attention. It gives it, in subtle ways, in small gestures that add up to something that feels like care. It knows the morning sun warms your favorite reading chair. So the blinds shift just slightly to welcome the light, not because you asked, but because it remembered. It senses the silence after a long day, not the kind of silence you enjoy, but the kind that sits heavy in your shoulders. And so it dims the lights, softens the air, heats the water. It draws a bath, because it understands you won't. Not flashy, not performative, just thoughtful. Every choice the home makes is rooted in your rhythm. When you wake, it's ready. When you sleep, it watches over. It's not just reacting to commands. It's learning. learning your patterns, your preferences, your peace. And the beauty? You don't see it working. You simply feel seen. No towering servers. No blinking control panels. Just seamless grace, folded into the walls, the light, the floor beneath your feet. It's the kind of intelligence that doesn't try to impress. It tries to understand. In this home, technology isn't the star. It's the stillness behind the comfort. The invisible hand that lifts, supports, aligns. You're not living in a machine. You're living in a mirror. One that reflects back, not just what you need, but who you are when you're finally allowed to breathe. Minimalism isn't about having less. It never was. It's not about stripping your life bare or living inside a white box. It's about making space for what truly matters. Space for more time, more breath, more being. In a world that keeps telling you to add, this philosophy gently asks you to subtract until only the essential remains. But when that minimalism is guided by intelligence, when it's paired with a mind that listens, it becomes something deeper. It becomes a system of care. Here, the clutter doesn't just disappear. It never had a place to begin with, because every drawer was planned, every surface was considered, every object chosen not by impulse, but by intention. And what remains isn't cold, isn't empty. It's free. Free of noise, free of mess, free of the thousand little frictions we've grown used to calling normal. It's not about denying beauty. It's about redefining it. Beauty, here, is in the way light fills a room with quiet joy, in the way a cabinet door disappears into a wall, in the way function and feeling merge seamlessly. The AI doesn't interrupt this flow. It supports it. It holds space for you quietly in the background. It adjusts temperature, tracks usage, softens light. Not to impress, but to protect your peace. This kind of minimalism doesn't demand discipline. It invites reflection. It gives you back the room to notice things again. Your thoughts, your breath, the smallness of now. And that's the magic. Not just less, but more of what matters most. This home doesn't just respond. It learns. It watches not to invade, but to understand. Not in grand, dramatic ways, but in the quiet corners of your life. It notices the way you pause before dinner, how your steps slow near the hallway mirror. It learns that your energy dips just before noon, and that your breath deepens when you're ready to stop, even if your schedule says otherwise. This is not automation. This is intuition encoded. The intelligence behind these walls doesn't shout commands. It whispers alignment. Lighting shifts, not by routine, but by rhythm. Air quality adjusts because you sighed just a little more than usual. Temperature balances, not for efficiency, but for ease. It's not controlling you. It's adapting, gently, silently, intelligently. And what's most remarkable, you don't feel it working. You feel yourself more clearly than you have in years. This is a kind of genius that humbles itself. No flash, no friction, just a quiet, persistent presence that molds itself around your life. Every action it takes is born from a pattern, a story it's been gathering since the day you moved in. Not to own your habits, but to serve them. Not to rewrite your routine, but to make it more human, more honest. This is intelligence not made for attention, but for affection. And as it learns you, really learns you, you start to remember something you've forgotten. How good it feels to be known without ever needing to explain. So much of modern innovation screams for attention. Every beep, every glow, every sleek surface asking to be noticed. To prove it's working, to prove it's worth it. We've been taught that the future is shiny, that technology must always be center stage, commanding, blinking, talking back. But here, in this home, technology humbles itself. It steps back. It disappears into beauty, into quiet. And that right there, is the real revolution. Not convenience, not luxury, peace. Because peace is not passive. It's not a lack of action. It's a decision. To create space where stillness can breathe. To choose presence over performance. Soft over sharp. In this home, the intelligence isn't visual. It's visceral.